Good evening, and welcome to All Over Politics. I'm Joe Kennedy, and tonight we're fortunate enough to have with us David Blau, who is the chair for the Massachusetts Libertarian Party. But before we talk to Dave, I want to talk a little bit about our economy. Specifically, I want to talk about what is going on up in the Fed today. What's going on that affects you and your family and everybody else around you. Now, I know what you're saying. Joe, I don't want to talk about the economy. I want to go and I want to watch Dancing with the Stars. Or maybe I want to go watch some football. Or maybe there's some baseball on TV. Or maybe there's some Leave It to Beaver reruns. But you know what? Your lifestyle today is built around your little iPods and your little cars and your house and all the little trinkets and the doodads that you have in them. And the reality is that all of that stuff is dependent upon America's economic policy. And if you don't take 5 minutes to understand America's economic policy, you have absolutely no idea what is going on in the government that affects your life day to day. And you know what? When they wipe out the entire economy of the nation, you're not going to care so much about your iPod. You're not going to care so much about what you're watching on television. You're not going to care so much about what kind of car you drive. You know why? Because you're going to be waiting in line to get some government cheese. Because you didn't understand the economy and you didn't vote for the right people and you didn't understand what was going on that affects your life on a day-to-day basis. So let's talk about history, let's talk about the economy, and let's talk about the Great Depression, and let's sum it all up really quickly so you can get it. So let's take a look at history. History shows us time and time again that the economy goes through periods of contraction. Basically, we have crashes and then we have recoveries. So 1903, crash. 1905, recovery. 1906, crash. 1909, recovery. 1914, crash. 1915, recovery. Do you notice what's happening here? We have these little crashes and then we have these recoveries. And the recoveries are almost right away. And they don't take years and years and years and years and years. They take a small amount of time in the grand scheme of things. But you know what? The Great Depression happened. You know why it happened? FDR is why it happened. Because FDR said, you know what? I don't like all this instability. So we had this gigantic crash in 1929, and what happened? Boom! Crash, 1929. Crash for 2.5 years on the downside. Then what happened? It started going back up. Everything's going back up. Everything's doing exactly what it's supposed to do, and FDR came in June of 1933, and he signed a little act, the National Recovery Act. And you know what the National Recovery Act did? It dumped thousands and millions of dollars into our economy. And then, if you look at every single chart of the Dow or anything else, you see a big flat line. You know why there was a big flat line? Because we artificially dumped millions and millions of dollars into the economy. We propped up people's salaries. We did all kinds of stuff. And that is what stopped the economy from expanding. And you know what? We're doing it right now. We are creating another Great Depression. It's happening right before our eyes. We are dumping billions into the economy, and nobody up in Washington is willing to just look at any historical fact and adjust what we need to adjust. Basically, leave things alone and let the economy stabilize itself. We're creating another Great Depression. What's the reality? The reality is we got guys like Bush and Obama that put guys like Bernanke in charge. Bernanke is dumping and dumping and dumping money into the economy. But what did Bush do? Bush destroyed every single thing that he managed. Obama never has run a company. Bernanke never has run a company. These are the guys we put in charge of our economy, and this is why it's failing. And you should care because it's going to wipe you and your family out. Back in a couple minutes with David Blau.